stakeholder management in enterprise sales. Now, what does stakeholder management exactly involve is that when you are dealing with an organization, let's say, when we started out our journey at IIM Jobs, it was very different kind of a sales for me, because the thing is, I was dealing with senior level, CXO level folks, or the decision makers directly. So when I am reaching out to these multiple stakeholders or senior level folks, or kind of different kind of hierarchy of people within the organization, it is my understanding, or it should be like in a kind of a process, a sales process should be focused in terms of understanding what kind of different needs, preferences and motivations these different people have, so that I am able to cater to their kind of requirements, their challenge points, and customize my solution as per the kind of challenges that they're currently facing. So when you are dealing with enterprise sales, you will have different stakeholders, multiple stakeholders within the organization. As I said, they will have different needs, the preferences, motivations, and the kind of influence levels and authority levels that within the organization. And me as a sales manager will have to navigate these kind of stakeholder dynamics by understanding what exactly are their motivation points and how should I cater to that. Now, by delivering a specified value proposition for their requirement. So within an organization, so we have dealt with multiple set of organization in terms of different scales, startup level organization, a mid-size level organization, or even an enterprise scale organization which has employees more than 1,000 plus, a startup which will be almost around less than 50 employees, mid-size organization anywhere between 200 to 500 employee structure. So when you're dealing with various organizations, that will be a kind of a standard structure where there'll be a CEO or a CXO level person or a founder level person, below which there will be different functional heads like a finance head or purchase head, and below that will be these managers who will be taking care of respective roles under these functional head categories. Now, when I am dealing with these kind of stakeholders, I need to first identify the stakeholder roles which will be crucial for me closing the deal for my product. So the initial steps of enterprise sales, or the initial steps for me to make my sales successful, is to identify the stakeholders who will be involved in my sales process, in my sales funnel process, understanding their objectives and what kind of use case that I need to, or what kind of communication that I need to relay to them so that they can take it up further within their hierarchy. So what we try to do is that, we create these kind of customer personas within the organization. So when I'm dealing with an organization, which is the scale of, let's say, 200 to 500 or anywhere up to 1,000 employees, as I told you, in my personal, in my current line of work, I directly reach out to CXO level folks, an HR head or a talent acquisition head, sometimes founders, CEOs themselves. These kind of folks, if I'm able to create a kind of a pitch within that crisp 2 minutes, kind of a telecall with them, that, sir, we have this product, or we have this kind of a solution that will be suitable for your talent acquisition needs. If the person is convinced and is giving me a kind of a FaceTime or a meeting or kind of a session, which will involve me giving a demo or a trial to them, this is well and good. But the thing is, this is a very ideal case scenario where I directly get a meeting out of that one conversation that I'm having the CXO level person, right? But most of the times, what happens is that this senior level person will have these kind of filtering people at the junior levels who will be called the gatekeepers. Now, the gatekeepers can be anywhere a kind of a personal secretary or an assistant or a junior level person or executive working in their own team, who basically this person, like the CXO level person I'm talking to, let's say, they'll be well and good, I've heard you out. But why don't you do one thing? Why don't you reach out to X person in my team and run your tool by them? And then if they're convinced, then we can take it up further in terms of further discussion or a product trial. So this gatekeeper then becomes crucial for me in terms of getting, pitching my product to this person in such a way that there is a value proposition for them to drive it further up to the end user or to the decision maker. Now, how do I customize your solution? By creating a customized message to these people. Now, let's say a gatekeeper has very low interest in your product. See, the thing is, you need to understand the psyche of this person is that they may be getting 100 calls from various stakeholders from across the organization, from various external vendors like us, saying that, we have a product, we have a solution. Why don't you take it up with your decision maker, with your seniors? So you need to align with their interest and their motivations and pitch your product in certain way so that they take it up further with their decision maker. Now, how do I do that? I make the gatekeeper look good in front of the decision maker. So I tell them that, if this product is taken up by your organization, you will be the champion of this product and you will be the person who will be bringing this tool on board. Because the thing is, it will help you help your organization or decision maker cut the cost by 20 to 30%. Now, the gatekeeper basically wants to stand out in front of the decision maker. They want to be have a good name in front of the decision maker. So they will take it up further. Now, beyond a certain point, a gatekeeper may or may not be a most important, kind of a persona for me to deal with after a certain point. I would certainly want to simultaneously engage with multiple counterparts in the organization so that I'm able to make headwinds in my sales funnel. Now, considering what kind of, what is the sales cycle that you follow or what kind of product that you are selling, it can have anywhere between the product can get closed within a week's time, also within a few months' time, or up to a year also. Right, depending on the budgeting cycle of the organization, what the client is following for themselves. So when I'm dealing with a gatekeeper, what happens is that coming from a line of work where then I have multiple products in my product category that I'm offering to the client, I also need to deal with multiple people within the organization who may or may not be valuable for me. Now, for example, an influencer, the next person who is slightly bit higher in the hierarchy of the organization. Influencer may be a person who will be coming, who might be a consultant, in-house consultant. This person might be taking a lot of feedback from the outside market. They will be those kind of product mavens who keep on trying different solutions in the market. They are always on the lookout. That which is the product which is currently available in the market, what kind of solution then can I offer to my decision maker. Now again, the influencers' objectives is to stand out in front of their internal stakeholders so that they are able to kind of give a very strategic solution for the kind of challenges the company is currently facing. Now, it is not always that the company is facing certain kind of challenges. They are just looking at multiple vendors and they want to give a try to different companies at different point of time. So the influencer basically becomes a higher kind of a hierarchy person than the gatekeeper, who will take your product. They'll ask you a lot of questions. They will ask you okay, how is this product better than your competitor? You have to be an active listener. You also need to, they'll also throw a lot of use cases at you in terms of let's say they'll ask you that, what happens if this, this in an X case scenario, if we are facing this kind of a challenge. They might ask you if your product crashes or something like that in terms of any risk or any kind of compatibility issues with their internal software, what will happen, any data privacy issues. So in this case, when you're dealing with an influencer, you need to have answers to the questions and you need to be very upfront about in case if there are any solutions that you're not or any questions that you're not able to answer to them, you need to come back to them with the proper solutions and the proper answers. So the influencers will take a lowdown or will take a kind of understanding of what all value proposition that you're offering to them. And they will, once they are convinced. So influencer is important, is a very important point in terms of hierarchy when you're pitching to a client, is that once they are convinced, once they are get on board with the product, they will in fact help you in terms of pitching the product or positioning your product in front of the decision maker. That is why the influencer or the evangelist will be your important, kind of a stakeholder person within the organization who will help you stand out in front of the decision maker in terms of closing the deal. Now, the influencer can be an evangelist also. When I said the position evangelist, what happens is that what is an evangelist basically? We normally use this terminology in our industry in a sense that, let's say, this tool has been used by a certain, this person in their previous organization. They really liked it. They saw some real-time conversions in terms of let's say in my case, in terms of recruitment solution, they saw some real-time conversions for CXO level positions or senior executive leadership positions or some very niche positions that they were able to close using my tool. Now they have moved to this organization. Now I just need to go up to them and ask them what should I do? What is the use case current in this organization currently? What is the challenge that you're following? You are facing in this organization? How can I customize my solution as per the current organization structure? The influencer, once they are on board with you, who's already has used the product in the previous organization, has now become an evangelist for you. This person will in fact help you out in terms of placing your product in front of the decision makers, the end users, so that your sale becomes easier. So the influencer is a very important spoke in this entire hierarchy of customer personas. The next person, customer persona that I would like to discuss in this case is end user, not the decision maker. Now, for example, let's say you have passed through the gatekeeper and the influencer, hurdles that you have come across. Like the end user is a person, or it's like a team that basically uses the product from day to day. They will be driving the usage on the product. They will be getting the results on a real-time basis. So these personas basically have been created with an kind of a viewpoint of authority versus influence grid. So the stakeholders who have high authority and low interest, or high authority, low interest. So these grids has been mapped according to the kind of interest or authority, or the kind of influence that these people have within their organization. Now, if I look at end users over here, they have low authority but high interest in the product. Now, why does this happen is that these people may have like a very low, in terms of, except for their feedback, their decision-making power in terms of purchasing the product will be very less. But when the decision maker has to make a decision, they will go up to the end users and understand, are they using the tool that often? Has the tool been able to help them solve their problems or the challenges that they're facing? So they will be able to drive a better story to the decision maker or to the purchasing agent when they're convinced with the tool again. So when, in case if there is no influencer also in this entire hierarchy of things, the end user again becomes a very important stakeholder for you to manage, because for them, how will I drive my use case in front of them? I'll just give them a product demo. I'll run some multiple product demos in front of them. I'll give them trials of the tool, free trials, so that they can have a hands-on experience on the tool. They let them throw some use cases at me, like these are the challenges that we're currently facing. And what I'll do is I'll give them solutions for that in real-time basis, and not in kind of a that, if this will, if you only sign up for the product, then it will happen. I'll just give them a solution in a real-time basis. So they're convinced that yes, this tool is actually helping them out. So in my case, what I've done in the organizations which were skeptical. So let's say the influencer is convinced, or let's say the gatekeeper is also convinced, and the decision maker is like, I will ask my team, my talent acquisition sourcing team, to try out this product and see if it is helpful for closing them these kind of niche positions that we are struggling with in the last 6 months. Now, what happens is I will ask them for these positions which they are actually facing some problems with. Now, if they tell me that there are these certain stack technology positions that they are struggling with, I will specifically help them in these kind of positions only. So what happens over here in this case is that once these end users are convinced that this product is actually helping me in solving this major challenge that I'm facing in the last few months, then this person is on board with me. And then I'll ask the end user to promote or to suggest my tool to the decision maker. So what happens is the end user will have a lesser authority, but the thing is their feedback is valued in the hierarchy of the organization. So if the end user knows that, that let's say this product or tool is working for them, they will go up to the decision maker. And simultaneously, what I'll do is I'll reach out to the decision maker, post this feedback. I'll take this feedback from the end user on a mail or on a qualified kind of a communication channel, so that I can show it to the decision maker that, this tool is working for them. Now, the next very important person, of course, is the decision maker in this hierarchy of events. This person now, they has been convinced, let's say if there haven't been any end user also who has taken a trial or a product demo. If I'm directly going to a decision maker, let's say, without the gatekeepers or influencers in between, I've just reached out to the decision makers, which we normally do that in our line of work. Now, how do I talk to this person? What kind of value proposition will I be creating in front of a decision maker? The kind of value proposition that for a decision maker is that this person has a limited bandwidth of time. He has limited kind of engaging power in terms of he just wants to stick to the value proposition directly, and he doesn't want to divulge from any of the other things. So I will create a very specific use case that this tool that I'll be recommending to you will be able to cut down on your cost by 20%, 30%. The turnaround time for hiring any resource will be reduced from, let's say, 3 months to 15 days. As simple as that. Second of all, I'll give them live testimonials of the testimonials in terms of what I have recorded. I'll give them use cases where the product has actually worked, so that they come on board with us and understand that this tool is proven. It works in actual case scenarios for any of the segments that they are facing challenges with. So the decision maker is like a person who's I need to constantly engage with also, but my communication needs to be crisp and to the point. So the decision maker needs to understand if this product is valuable for me or not, as simple as that. So it will not be exactly a binary conversation, but the thing is the decision maker though has a limited time period and a bandwidth to have a meeting with you FaceTime, on a face-to-face basis, requires a solution that will be catering to their problem. So the decision maker basically bases your value proposition that you have conveyed to them. Let's say I've given them testimonials of the client that is in their peer segment or from their industry segment who has used it and has converted these many positions in the last few years. This will be like a better kind of a scenario for me to present in front of the decision maker. So this is how the decision maker will come on board with me. Then comes the blocker. The blocker is someone let's say there is in my line of work, let's say I'm I'm dealing with, I've set up a product demo with the talent acquisition executives or sourcing team. And I want to I want them to use their own IDs to search through the database and look for candidates which will be suitable for them or not. So out of the 5, let's say there are 5 recruiters in this team, and out of these 5 recruiters, 3 are convinced that for their particular requisitions or their particular requirements, the tool is working really well. But 1 or 2 of them, one of them is on the fence, and 1 person is completely against, because for their particular requisition, the tool was completely did not help them out. So now this person will become a blocker for me. They will be they'll give an extremely negative feedback to the decision maker or to the influencer or whoever is higher up in the value chain by saying that, no, this tool is not helping me out. In fact, they will go a bit extra sometimes by saying that I used it in my previous organization also, it did not help me out. I don't think so. It's valuable to kind of invest so much time in this tool. So this person can be a blocker for me. So how do I deal with this kind of a stakeholder? I would just plain and simple, I would ignore them. I would rather reach out to the other end users who found value in my tool. And I'll try to also reach out to the influencer or to the decision maker directly by engaging with them and giving them real life use cases that, in these kind of requisitions or these kind of case scenarios that you are dealing with. We have already closed that for a certain client in your own industry in the last 3 months itself. So as you can see, this is a tried and tested tool. It's not something that it will not work out for you. So that is where you need to understand these kind of client personas and then, basically kind of customize your communication, your kind of messaging and the kind of value proposition that you'll be delivering to each of these stakeholders. This was like a certain time, we were trying to reach out to this client of ours in Bombay. And basically this person, he was not exactly the personal executive assistant or something. This was from the talent acquisition team itself. So in my line of work at iamjobs.com, as I've told you earlier, we reach out to the HR heads or the talent acquisition leads directly, right? So what happened was this person redirected us to this executive from his team. And this person was we are already using this XYZ tool and this is like a monopoly tool at that time and still is the monopoly tool. So we are still we are using that tool. We are happy with it. Why do we we do not want to use any other tool. Then what happened was then I started asking a lot of open-ended questions in terms of what do you do for senior level hiring? What kind of sources do you normally rely on? So this person said that we have consultants or vendors, we have a lot of these people. And the thing is, then I asked him, what is normally the kind of percentage that you, have these vendors on? Are they, at a fixed percentage or a flat cost? Or do you give them something as per the kind of compensation that you'll be offering to the employee that will be coming on board? So this person told me that they paid an exorbitant amount of almost up to 20-25% for a senior level person that they're hiring for their organization. Now this is my this is my opening into that now I know how can I make the sale basically. So my tool basically helps in mid to senior level hiring, right? So what value proposition that I told him was that, if you let me have I'll give your end users, your team, like an entire week's access to the tool. You check out for yourself how many senior level people that we have registered on the platform. You can yourself see that even if you're able to hire this one position throughout the year of the subscription cycle, you will be able to you will be able to save so much on your cost. And I gave him specific numbers. I did not give him so much of money or something. I told him, so let's say if you're hiring someone at 50 lakhs of CTC, and you're offering them the vendor almost 15 to 20% of kind of fees that they're charging you guys, then you will be saving up on at least 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs of your money if you're able to hire 1 or 2 people out of this entire subscription. Now, this person got intrigued by this opening statement, and he was like, but we normally do not vendors have been helping us throughout the entire duration. We have never taken help from any of the job sites because none of the job sites have these kind of senior level folks registered. Now, I was like, just give it a try, take a trial, let me run a product demo for you. And let me just share this trial with you for 2-3 days. And then you can take a look at what kind of quality candidates that we have registered with us. That was how I was able to convert that deal with the gatekeeper, who was very skeptical in the beginning, who did not want to give it a try. But the thing is, using this kind of I customize my solution for them in terms of appealing to his sensibilities. And that is how I was able to close the deal for that account. In the talent acquisition industry, see what happens is the decision makers also have every company has a set budget cycle, right? It will not be sometimes a lot of organization purchase a lot of things mid-cycle also, but most of their recruitment solution products have a very kind of a set cycle that they will be purchasing it and so on, so month as per the kind of budgeting cycles that they have set up internally. So a deal time can range anywhere from you pitching in the product today and a client has a dire requirement. They have a extremely important project for which they require these kind of candidates to be filled in. They might purchase your product immediately also within the next 7 days. But it may considering our tool is not based for volume based hiring. It is based for senior level or executive leadership level hiring. These kind of positions also come far few in between, right? So the thing is, most of these clients that we deal with, they will also wait for their budgeting cycles to open up. So it may range from anywhere from 7 days to up to a year also for that matter. So in this, what is crucial during this deal time is that how do you maintain a rapport with all of these stakeholders that we've already discussed. Now, if you look at this grid that we have created, now this end user, let's say I've reached out to the end user, I've already given them a demo and a trial and they're already on board. They have already given a good recommendation or feedback to the decision maker or to the economic buyer. Now the economic buyer will be someone from the purchase department. Now, though they have high authority, so economic buyers, if you notice, I have placed it in 2 grids. One is in the high authority, high interest grid, and as well as in the high authority and low interest grid also. So over here, decision maker or an economic buyer will be a single person who might be from a CXO level category or the founder of the company. Most of the times it is for startup companies or unicorn set of companies where the founder themselves are involved in a lot of these purchasing decisions. So these people will be in the high authority and high interest grid, where the economic buyer will be the same as a decision maker. Now, for the high authority, low interest is that where you're dealing with, let's say, in a larger size organization with more than, let's say, 500 employee capacity, they'll have a different purchasing head. Now, though they have high authority, they have all the purse strings, at their disposal, but they have low interest in the product. Now, for them, it will someone like an influencer will come up to them or an end user will come and tell them that, we need this product to be purchased. You tell us what budget is currently available to us, and that is how we'll be able to take it up. So when a person or an economic buyer, or let's say a procurement person is from the high authority, low interest group, that person can also become a blocker for you. Because the thing is that person will be like, no, I do not have the budgets right now. I cannot take, I do not have the budgets currently for this kind of a solution. You come up to me in March ending or from the Jan starting, whenever the budget is the cycle will be renewing, and then I'll be able to probably get it. Then you have to reach out to the influencer, the end users to put pressure, or not pressure exactly, but to reach out to the decision makers as well in terms of understanding that this is the current challenge that you're facing. The procurement head is not person who is like, recruiting for, let's say, a very niche technology. The end user is like, recruiting for a niche technology. Their pain point is different from the purchasing head, right? So you need to appeal to the purchasing head and to the end user or the influencer in a separate way simultaneously, so that both of them come at the same page. And then the purchasing head is also like, ready to loosen up the person's like, purse strings and like, purchase my product for themselves. So when the purchase head is involved, you need to appeal to them that, okay, what kind of budget? Look, so what kind of questions or messaging that I'll be customizing to a purchase head? See, sir, I understand you have like a limited budget. I understand I've come out of the budgeting cycle. Also, I've come in the middle of the year asking you to purchase, and I understand what kind of financial strain the company will be put through. But let me know what is the budget that you're looking at. We will customize the solution for this. I'll give you the best possible deal in that budget. And let me like, help your team, like, hire for better resources in that limited budget or limited resources that you'll be giving me. I'm not harping on the fact, I'm not saying limited budget. I'll be harping on the fact that, I understand you have limited resources currently, but I would like to help you out. So that is the communication, or that is the kind of sentiment that I need to relay to this client, so that this purchasing person or the procurement person comes on board with me. The end user is already there on board with me because they know that this product will be able to like, help me in this solution. So then I tell the end user or the decision maker to like, go up to the procurement head or the purchase head and tell them that, let's chart out a solution which will help us get this product on board, so that the next cycle, when we have higher resources available, then we can go for a bigger deal. So when you're looking at the deal time, sometimes like, creating a with the stakeholders is more important than getting a bigger deal. So sometimes you also need to cut down on your deal cost. If you see like if you're creating a long lasting relationship with the client, you should also not like, hold back from giving them a good deal to the client. For example, so if I'm dealing with an enterprise, so we deal with a lot of enterprise level organization who have like these kind of internal multiple teams. So for example, if it's an IT service industry company, they have like these multiple clients on there. So for example, they have a healthcare client, they have a pharma client, they have this kind of different industry clients within there. So the talent acquisition SPOC that I'll be dealing with also will be respectively taking care of that specific level hiring, right? So first and foremost, I need to identify who are their clients. I need to ask those probing questions. Again, coming back to the basics, see, the basics are always important. Asking the right set of questions. Your question asking, your probing skills are very important over here in terms of who are the exact clients for this organization that you're dealing with. How many setups, as you are saying that there are multiple setups across geographies, right? What kind of geographies that they're dealing with? If this is a central person who is taking care of all these geographies, if not, then like which are the multiple stakeholders who are taking of these multiple geographies? What kind of solutions are they currently working with? This is like over a period of time, you gradually create a rapport with the client in such a way that they open up about all these information to you, that this is a problem statement. We are dealing with this kind of a vendor in this geography, but we are not able to get that many people. But that is where you keep on the first few meetings, as I understand, should be just gauging, probing the client and just understanding what kind of a pain point or challenges that they're facing. Your pitch, in case if you are looking at a large scale organization where the geographies are involved, multiple geographies, multiple stakeholders are involved, is somewhere the first few meetings is just information gathering for you. Then post that, once you have some information, then you collate that information and then provide a solution to this person that maybe I may not be suitable for this geography for you, but then why not start with a smaller geography over here, give it a trial, kind of run a trial project for that specific geography and then scale it up. That is also one of my philosophies, that I do not आप अगर आपकी इतने सारी geographies में there are different solutions. I would not scale it up in the first instance itself. Take my product for this entire solution. I'll be like, even if it's an enterprise level organization, which I know has a paying capacity of let's say 1 CR, I will pitch them a product of 2 lakhs. Because they are they are first and foremost, they are apprehensive about a new tool, which is I'm pitching to them. So there is no point of me telling them about a new tool and giving them like a big quotation of like 1.5 or 2 CR. So I would rather ask you to start small and then scale it up further basis your kind of success that you're getting in one place or one industry or one kind of stakeholder within that organization. See, high capital equipment is when you're let's say, for my understanding, let's say you're working in a Medicare industry, which gives medical equipments to hospitals and all these clinics. This can be termed as a high capital equipment, right? So your target audience over there will be very specific, like maybe doctors, maybe the purchase departments, maybe the stakeholders that you will be managing over there will not be that diversified. You will directly reach out to the decision maker in most of these cases, which will be suitable, or they are it can be helpful or detrimental in your case scenario. So high capital equipment is like kind of a long-term buying decision for me. So for example, let's say I'm buying a CT scan machine. It is kind of a very high cost deal for me, right? So for me to make an investment in a tool or a product like that, I need to be convinced on board. So if I'm the decision maker, so I need to justify the use case or the product in such a way that the decision maker, like I am supposing that you are reaching out to the decision maker themselves, like directly. So in that case, the problem statement or the kind of narrative, the pitch that you will be delivering to the client has to be very crisp and clear, where you are giving them the benefits outrightly in in a very straightforward fashion. Low cost products is somewhere that low cost products are somewhere let's say FMCG brands, wherein your product is there, but there are like n number of other multiple products which are also available in the market. Over here, you will be rather concerned with the placement of your product in front of the end user. So end user, in the sense I'm talking about the consumer in this case. So then you need to reach out to that specific spock internally within the organization, who will be able to give you a better placement in front of the consumer. So that will be your problem statement over there, like in terms of this low cost products that we are dealing with. I'm not saying end user has a low authority. In most of the cases, they may have very high authority in terms of, let's say, so the end user is in my case scenario, is a talent acquisition head as well. So the person is dealing with the senior level hiring, as well as they're also dealing with they'll be also the decision maker for this kind of, the founder or the CXO or the CEO person has assigned them that if you like this product, you go ahead and purchase this. So end user can be at a high authority position also. But when end user is somewhere junior in the hierarchy, where they're just using the tool from a day-to-day basis perspective, they may not have a buy-in on the product. Their feedback only will be taken once a purchase decision needs to be made, and may not be taken also for that matter. So that is the case scenario that I'm saying, that the end user may not always be in a kind of an authority position to purchase the product. But in case if you are dealing with, especially in my line of work, when I'm dealing with, let's say, not an HR head, but let's say talent acquisition lead, I know what is their pain point. So let's say I was talking to one talent acquisition head yesterday, very senior level person. But the thing is, he has a team of 5 people under him, but he has directly started sourcing for candidates because his team has very kind of a strict kind of a timelines for hiring DevOps engineers in the next 5 days. Now, this person has a team of 5 people, but then when I was dealing with him, and because of constant engagement also with this person, I got to know that this was his challenge that he was facing. I capitalized on that information. I told him that, I understand that, you're dealing with this issue. Let me just give you a customized solution wherein you try this product for 3 months. If you feel that, it's not helpful for you, let's not even consider an annual subscription. Let's just consider 3 months or a 6-month subscription. Now, the person was already in a pain point in terms of they wanted to hire 5 DevOps engineers in the next 5 days. They are probably working this weekend also, sourcing for these, the resources. So you need to understand, end users can be a place of authority or can be just people who will be plainly and simply using the product from day-to-day basis, and they may not have say in terms of the decision-making power of the organization.